Theodore Seuss Geisel, Dr. Seuss, was born on March 2nd, 1904, to Robert and Henrietta Geisel. From now on, because he and his father share the first name, he's just going to be Seuss for the rest of this video. That's what we all know him as anyway, so... born in Springfield, Massachusetts, Seuss's father was the president of 2 brewing companies. However, Prohibition kind of voided this position in 1920. And in 1931, Robert was appointed the superintendent of parks for the city of Springfield. Now, this also included the Forest Park Zoo, to which a young Seuss would visit fairly regularly, and apparently brought his sketch pad with him when he did go. Well, Seuss's mother, Henrietta, was the daughter of Bavarian immigrants, and her attempts at going to college had been thwarted. So with that in mind, she pushed her children to go to college, and indeed they did. As a quick note about Seuss's mother also, apparently she sung him and his siblings silly little rhymes to help them go to sleep at night. And as Seuss said, apparently that had a great impact on him, causing him to develop an interest in rhymes, rhythms, and various forms of wordsmithing. So as a young man, due to his mother's influence, Seuss attended Dartmouth College, and he joined the Sigma Phi Epsilon fraternity. Well, and he began to work on a magazine published by the fraternity, the Dartmouth Jack-O-Lantern, a humorous publication that's surprisingly still in production, I believe. I didn't see anything saying that it wasn't. Apparently they have a website now and stuff too. And I suppose some prestigious people have actually worked on it and gone on to do big things in various industries. The only one I knew besides Dr. Seuss was Phil Lord and Chris Miller. They're the guys who made the Lego movie. So, yeah, they were connected to Dr. Seuss in a weird, vague way. They worked on that while they were at Dartmouth College, the Jack-O-Lantern. Well, in any case, so Seuss quickly became very influential, and thus gained the title of editor-in-chief. However, after an unfortunate incident of being caught drinking gin with a few friends in his dorm, remember, the Prohibition was still in full swing during this time, the dean insisted that Seuss resign from all extracurricular activities. Although that didn't stop Seuss. Due to encouragement from a certain professor, he continued to work on the Jack-O-Lantern under a pen name, Seuss. I suppose me calling him by his middle name kind of ruins the effect of that statement. You see, he was going by Theodore. Theo. Ted. I'm pretty sure Ted was the nickname he liked. Ted Seuss. In any case, he was going by that, right? First name. And then all of a sudden there's this fun little switch to his middle name. Ooh, a pen name forming. Seuss. And in 1925, he graduated from Dartmouth and went on to Lincoln College in Oxford, England. You see, he was going for a Doctor of Philosophy in English Literature when he met his somewhat soon-to-be future wife, Helen Palmer. Now, she saw his drawings and basically was like, all right, you got to give up this English dream. This is fantastic. I want you to go out there and pursue art as a living. Well, Seuss was greatly influenced by her, and so he went out and did that. Now, I'm not going to mention her, by the way, too much. Helen, that is. I will say, she was actually a writer for children's publications also. She made a few books. I believe she founded some publishing firm. In any case, her story is really sad. It doesn't have a very happy ending. And we're not going to get into her too much here. So, if you really want to know more, look into her on your own. Because she is pretty interesting. Jeepers. In any case, in 1927... Seuss returned to the United States to begin working on his work as an illustrator. He submitted his drawings to various advertisers, publishers, and magazines. Now, his first nationally published cartoon was in July 1927 in the Saturday Evening Post. And because of that, he was able to find a job as a writer/illustrator for the Judge magazine. It was satirical in nature, and from my research, it was shown to be very political. It ran from 1881 to 1947 and had a very colorful life. However, that's really going off topic. For our intents and purposes, we won't go into it too much here. So with this new job, though, Seuss was able to obtain a measure of security and stability in his life, and with that, he married Helen. Oh yeah, he also submitted his first official work with the pen name Dr. Seuss to the Judge magazine about 6-ish months into his job. Just another neat little factoid. In any case, from here, he went on to also do advertisements. And this is really what caused Seuss to take off in the public eye. Now, apparently, the wife of the man who was in charge of advertising Flit, which was an insecticide in a very cool spray device. I'm not sure what you'd call this. But she urged her husband to use Seuss as the illustrator for the new ad campaign. Quick, Henry, the Flit! It was a rousing success. They even had a little song emerged from the woodworks about this. Now, Seuss had the big eye, the big cycloptic eye of public perception, gazing down upon him, and with it, more work and money. That's right, now Seuss was doing very well, along with his wife, and by 1936, Mr. and Mrs. Giesel had visited 30 countries. Seuss claimed that his creativity was helped by visiting various places. And you know what? Fair enough, Seuss. Fair enough. Well, in any case, neither one of the Seusses, of the Giesels, I guess, the Seussi, neither Seussi had a fixed working schedule, so pretty free to kind of do what they want in regards to work, which is pretty awesome, actually. Seuss was successful. He was making advertisements for Standard Oil, Ford, NBC Radio. Wow. You would think at this point he might start making some of his iconic books. And he certainly had some attempts at books. To be fair, the first two were very successful. The Pocketbook of Boners and More Boners. There were also other sequels that he didn't have a direct hand in, Still More Boners, Prized Boners. Oh, not to forget the Omnibus Boners, the second Boners Omnibus, and Bigger and Better Boners. Yeah, he didn't have much connection to the later editions, according to my understandings. He just kind of stuck with, his Pocketbook of Boners. After it topped in the New York Times nonfiction bestseller section, that's when, more boners came along. And after these first two books, leaving the boners behind, he illustrated a children's ABC book entitled Very Strange Animals. However, it itself was a boner. How many times did I say boner there? Sam, can I get a count? I'm sorry, I'll cut this out. Sam, don't count the boners. I nearly made a boner myself. In 1936, Seuss and wife, on a return trip from merry old England, Seuss was sitting, listening to the rhythm of the ship's engine, and it gave him an idea for a little rhyme that he wrote. And later, that poem, that little rhyme, metamorphosized into his first kind of big Seussian book, To Think That I Saw It on Mulberry Street. Seuss claimed that he brought it to something around 20 to 43-ish publishers, and they all rejected it. Now, he was on his way home to violently burn the manuscript when, out of the concrete jungle, out of the wild, came an old Dartmouth classmate who really liked the manuscript, and so helped Seuss publish it. Well, and with that, Seuss wrote a few more books that were, well, I'd never heard of them, so I'm not even going to deign to name them here because we're going to get into something fascinating, and that is World War II. Now, Seuss made a few political cartoons during World War II, and goodness gracious, seeing Seuss's art style, 4 political cartoons about the Axis powers and America is insano style. Seeing Hitler rendered as a Seuss character is really funny, or his weird little creatures. It was weird enough with the advertisements, but this is something special. Goodness gracious. Well, in any case, Seuss wasn't a very big fan of Hitler. Neither was he a huge fan of the Japanese. You see, he had a very anti-American isolationist policy. You know, he wanted American interventionism to happen. Along with that, too, he was hired by the Treasury, actually, to make a bunch of war bond cartoons, encouraging Americans to spend their money supporting the troops. Oh, goodness, I keep going back to it. Hitler really amuses me in Seussian style. Anything with Hitler will generally make me laugh, but this is... this is fantastic. In 1943, he joined the army as a captain. Well, look at that. He was the leader of the first motion picture unit of the United States. Right, it was connected to the Army Air Forces. So he worked on a few different animated projects, both in writing and drawing and all that. Specifically, Your Job in Germany, Our Job in Japan, and a series called Private Snafu.
What a dumb cop! What a clown! Just the kind of boob who lets his battery run down.
Now, I'm actually vaguely familiar with Private Snafu. Yeah, World War II political cartoons, propaganda pieces, Looney Tunes. All that stuff fascinates me utterly. De Fuhrer's face.
Everyone of foreign race will love the foreign face.
Oh goodness, imagining that playing behind me is very funny. In any case, though, yeah, just interesting little tidbits there. Now, he was actually given a Legion of Merit, which I'll place it here. That's pretty cool. Seuss was a captain in the army. Who would have thunk it? Even if he didn't really do anything on the front lines. But, you know, propaganda is important. And after World War II, that's when he really began creating his most iconic works. The ones that most likely, I'm pretty sure at least, I think basically all of us have read one Dr. Seuss book, at least in our life. He began creating those then. Well, goodness gracious, that's where we're going to end it on Seuss today. If you want me to cover his middle years and the later part of his life, that's also pretty interesting. Solar Sands did a really great video on his more obscure art pieces he made later in his life. I'd highly recommend you look at that. Yeah, with that, if you want me to make more regarding Dr. Seuss, a part 2, so to speak, I'll gladly do so. He's a very interesting subject. Much more wholesome than Chris Chan or Extreme Elvis. And if there's any other strange characters you want me to talk about throughout history, modern or in the past, please let me know. But with that, thank you for watching. I hope to see you all in my next video. And with that, goodness, it's hard to end things. Bye-bye!